So today, I've actually been working on this for a little bit now. At work, we have these things, these machines, and they hold something, right? So they got like little teeth, right? So they got like a bunch of little teeth in here. And the problem is they get dirty. We have to have something. We can't just use something like a paper towel. I don't have any of these things. They're actually there's a they're almost made out of like a nylon. But anyways, what ends up happening is we need to go ahead and we need to grab like a rag and we get it caught in the teeth and then we go back and forth. So in order for me to do that, if it was like something along the edge here, we'd push it along the edge, but we have to fold it over and then you have to hold it on the edge so this piece gets caught in the teeth. So what happens now is we grab a hold of these things and we drape it over the edge and we come down and we start to basically floss this back and forth. And the problem is there are 52 teeth, right? And you have to pull down really hard to the point where it kind of just digs in. Well, by the time that you're done with this, you are super sore because you're pinching this, pinching it with your thumbs, trying to get it down. So I've come up with a couple different designs for this, and the one that I'm working on right now is it's still just a prototype iterative process, right? But I'm making one of these just to see how it fits. There were a couple design concerns, like the first design has to do with a way of pinching it. So this was one of the first designs. Basically, if you were to put this over and you have this little kind of chevron shape in here, it'll get caught in here. But then the other thing is where it's folded over, this gets jammed in here. So if this was longer and we'd hold it, then basically now it's not so much of a problem. What I don't like about this is it requires more than one piece, a moving piece, and that means that we'd also have to have this. We'd have to have the piece inside that moves. We'd have to have a cap that goes over it, and then we would probably have to have some screws and stuff. This was actually supposed to be split this way. I don't want to do that. So what I want is something with just one piece. So this is basically what I've been designing. So this is definitely easier said than done. I'm using a CAD program. Anyways, I rounded it off. The point is this V section right here, that's where I'm going to drop the rag into, and it's going to get kind of caught in this one little channel right here. And then it's going to be fed through, kind of draping over this little, it's almost like a dorsal fin if you look at it, right? So it's going to drape over there, and then this hole that's down in the bottom right here, I'm going to tuck the rag back through, and it's going to come out this hole. And I'll probably have some other type of little, like a catch right here, but I don't have that designed into it right now. Anyways, I need two of these. This is just a prototype. There's maybe some structural concerns, like I'm not sure if that's going to be right there, if that's going to be strong enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this out of PETG plastic, right? So it's basically I'm using a 3D printer, and I'm going to print this all out, and then hopefully it'll be good. I just threw in some just kind of a pistol grip, right? I don't know how this is going to fit into my hand, but the bottom line is this type of organic structure right here, there is all of this stuff that I had to do to get it to be able to get this to happen. So I have some concerns, definitely some structural concerns on this. Like this, it kind of looks like it's going to get pinched right in here, down at the bottom. I didn't even notice that till just now. But whatever, I'm going to print this out and I'll show you what the printing job looks like right now. So I'm printing these out on my 3D printer, and if you look at it, we are into 4 hours and 20 minutes, and I still got 2 hours and 10 minutes before this thing's completely done. But you can see how the shape is coming into play. And yeah, we still got a little bit to go. But I probably couldn't have made this if I didn't do some type of 3D extrusion like we're doing here. So in this case, it's kind of ideal, but the point is, one piece. I need to be one piece. I need to be able to just manufacture it really easily. And I could make as many of these as I wanted, provided the design is correct. I am worried about like this right there. I'm worried about that not being quite rigid enough, so I might have to reinforce it. But it's engineering, it's an iterative process. The prototype is not like the finished model, but I need to make sure that this little shark's tooth thing that's going on, or however you want to look at it, almost like a claw. I need to make sure that that's going to work properly before I decide to, I don't know, I might have to abandon this design in its entirety. But at least it fits a couple of pieces of the criteria, which is it's one piece, right? It's one piece, it's easily manufacturable, because all I have to do is basically, I can make as many of these as I want, provided the design's good. So, anyhow, we'll see how it works afterwards. Alright, so the print is done, and it only took 6 hours and 32 minutes. Actually, I guess it took 6 hours and 26 minutes to print, but that was in total. I don't have my computer tied up on this, right? So I'm just going to power it off and move the thing down, which will kill my light too, unfortunately. So this thing is still plenty warm. Alright, so the print is done. It's dark in this room because the way the house is designed. I'm just going to grab a hold of it and pinch it together and try and get it off this bed. That's the thing that sucks about these 3D printers, these beds. If you don't do it properly, when they go to print, they just slide off, but you can see the whole bed is moving. Oh, wow. Well, that's kind of what we need. Sometimes I use a crescent wrench. Wow, these are really on there. Probably could use a rubber mallet, would probably be best. But let's take a closer look at this thing and see how it works. All right, so we got our two pieces, and comfort. They're fairly comfortable, but I didn't go long enough on this, so this edge is sharp, so that's definitely not comfortable. The other thing is, when we're using these, we're going to be wearing acid gloves, right? So even though I've got pretty large hands to begin with, they're going to be even larger with the gloves. So maybe this should be a little bit longer, but it's definitely more comfortable than it was. I definitely can't have a sharp edge on this because it could potentially cut into the hand and cut into the glove. But let's see how it works. So this is just a paper towel. I wetted it up so it'd be a little bit more pliable like the other stuff. Basically, what I'm going to want to do is just feed it in. And already I'm kind of not liking the fact. Now, granted, this is not apples to apples, right? This is now wet and it's behaving differently than one of these little, we call them actually dry wipes, because they're dry and they're kind of smooth. Anyways, if I can get, so maybe I could make the throat of this a little bit bigger. But I'm going to grab a hold of it and pull it through. I really think this would be much easier with a different wipe. And pull it through about like this. Okay, and I can see that it's already getting caught like right in here. That's what it's supposed to do, right? So I'll pull it in. And another thing that I'm noticing that I don't like is I didn't make this quite big enough. So when I go to loop it back inside, I'm having a little bit of a problem with it. So I definitely would want to make this bigger. And then like I can't get my finger in here either. So I could use like a stick or something like that, you know, some type of rod to push this in. But realistically, this needs to be super easy to get to, and how I'm digging like this is not going to be acceptable. So I'm going to have to make this little hole a little bit bigger. because we're not going to be able to do this in the work environment. But anyways, the idea was it's supposed to come and loop out like this. And one of the things it does do is it gets caught and it folds it over into this little section. So at which point I might add this. This is what I really need. I can't have this thing falling off into a quartz tank, which is basically like glass, right? Can't have that. This is somewhat heavy. It's plastic, so it's not an issue. But it is a little bit heavier than I should have. If I make another one of these, this is gonna be a hollow body. Right now it's got 50% infill, but this is basically what I needed. So at which point I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other corner. Yeah, if it wasn't for this whole COVID disaster and me working from home, I would be testing this with the actual wipes that we're using instead of a wet paper towel. So anyways, I go ahead and I get it, and I'm gonna pull it through, and then I'm gonna pull it back through. So like I said, this is trying to get to this through here. This needs to be notched out. I can see that already. I don't like the way that it is. It's too much materials in here. It's kind of obstructing me reaching it. And again, it's not like I'm going to give them a tool for pulling this out, the pliers or something. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose. The idea is to make this nice and simple for everybody to use. And this is just not going to cut it. But on the same note, this is also something that does not exist. We don't have anything like this, and there's a reason for it. I've had to do plenty of these things, and they're really terrible to do. By the time everything's said and done, it's an ergonomic nightmare. So the material that we're using is much stronger than this, right? You can pull on it, you can't tear it. But I'm looking at it, and as far as it working, it's going to be like a set of nunchucks, right? So what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to go on the side like this, and I'm going to be able to clean. All right, so there's some things that I don't like about it, and that's perfectly fine, but this is a real world model, and I can see that one, it is actually catching on it, right? I mean, there's no problem. I don't know how much weight I can put on it, but I think any more than this and it's just going to tear the cloth, but it seems to be working pretty well. So now it's a matter of smoothing these out, making it a little bit more comfortable, maybe kind of at an angle, and making this a little bit bigger so it's not. I'll put a bigger notch in here. Anyways, I'm pretty happy with the way this has come out. So this is it, Rev 1. I'm going to be doing more of these because I'm not quite happy with the design. Again, it's sharp right here, and I kind of did that this took 6.5 hours to do. So the more material I use, especially for something I know that I'm not going to be able to use. I want this more rounded, for one. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. I need a deeper gullet right here, so it's not such a problem pulling this out. The other thing is, I could make this possibly a little bit wider up on the top. Although this thing seems to be pretty rigid. I was worried about this being soft and breaking. I can even come down, the channels can come down a little bit further, and this can be more solid. But other than that, it does what it's supposed to do. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So this is, again, this is the first actual prototype. I did some testing, which was this, right? And this mechanism doesn't work very well, but this one most certainly does. So again, it's like, this is a paper towel, right? So I mean, it's gonna rip if I pull on it. Cool.